Okay, today we're going to be looking at section 5.3, which deals with slope-intercept form. So hopefully by the end of this section you could say, I can write a linear equations using slope-intercept form, and I can graph linear equations in slope-intercept form. So hopefully we've heard about slope-intercept form before. We'll take a look at this first example to get us started. So bamboo can grow very quickly. The graph models the growth of a bamboo plant. Find the point where the line crosses the vertical axis. What does the point tell you about the bamboo plant? So if we take a look over here, we can see that that point would be right here, which tells you the height is 20 after 0 days. So our starting point, height of 20 feet, is our starting point. Okay, what does the slope tell you about the bamboo plant? So if we look at the slope, we could find the slope. We could say we go up 10. So from here to get here, we go up 10 and we go over 10. So what does that 1 tell us? Well, it's 10 feet in every 10 days. So that tells us that this is growing 1 foot per day. Okay, so that would be our slope. And how do you know? Because it grew 10 feet in 10 days. So our starting point was 20 feet, and then from there it grew 1 foot every day. Okay, so today, to start this off, we're going to look at parent functions and children. So we're going to graph the following. So we're going to make a t-chart just very quickly, 3 points, -1, 0, and a 1. If I plug that in, I'd have a -2, I'd have a 0, and I'd have a 2. So if I plug those over here on my graph, I'd have this line right here. Okay, if I did this one, and I did those same 3 points, or same 3 x values, I should say. If I put in a -1, I'd have 2 times -1 plus 3, which gives me a +1. If I put in a 0, I would get out a 3. If I put in a 1, I would get out a 5. So I get a -1, 1. I get a 0, 3. Had one wrong point wrong already. Hopefully you got that. So we were here for a point. So -1, 1, a 0, 3, and a 1, 5. So there would be my second line. Okay, and my third line, if I use this one, if I put in a -1, I would get a -6. If I put in a 0, I get a -4. If I put in a 1, I would get a -2. So I get a -1, -6. I get a 0, -4. I get a 1, -2. So I would have this line right here. And so how are they related? Well, we could easily say that they have the same slope. Okay. And what can you tell from the equations? Well, this first one we would say is our parent. All the others are the children. So what can we tell from the equations? Well, if we look closely at the slope, we could see the slope of the first one is 2. The slope of the red one is 2. The slope of the green one is 2. So where's that 2 showing up? It's showing up in our equations here, here, and here. There's our slope. If we look at the red one, I could see it crosses the y-axis at a 3. So the red one crosses the y-axis at a 3. There's the 3. If you look at the blue one, there is no, it crosses at a 0. Well, that would be like a +0 back here. So there's where that shows up. And then the green one, it crosses the y-axis at a -4. Oh, and there is the negative 4. That's where that shows up. So how could I make a graph without using the table? Hopefully we could see that, well, we know we have a starting point. Our starting point could be our y-intercept, and then we could use our slope. Tells you how it's going to go up and over, or rise over or run. So if we took a look here, so slope-intercept form, it's specifically this. A linear equation, a non-vertical line, y equals mx plus b. The m is our slope, the y-intercept is our b. So if I wanted to find the slope and the y-intercept here, I would say the slope, negative 2. Y-intercept, a 7. Here, slope, 6. Y-intercept, 11. So m stands for slope, b stands for y-intercept. So our slope, negative 7. Y-intercept, negative 8. And here, slope, negative 2.5. Y-intercept, 3.2. Okay. And for this one, slope, well, there's nothing with an x, so the slope is 0. The y-intercept is a negative 9. Here, slope is 1/4. The y-intercept, a negative 2/7. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to us. Next thing, if I want to write the equation in slope-intercept form, now we're simply working the other way. So I'd have y equals negative 5x minus the 6. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, so this other one, y equals 1x minus 4. So I'll give you a little time to write the next two. And you should have had y equals 0.4x minus 9. And you should have had y equals 0x plus 3, or simply y equals 3. Okay, so if I ask you to write it from an from a graph, two things you're going to need. You're going to need a y-intercept, and you're going to need a slope, or a slope and a y-intercept. So if you pick 2 points, you can see that we go up 2 and over 1, so our slope is 2. Our y-intercept crosses at a 1, so our y-intercept is 1. So your equation would be y equals 2x plus 1. This next one, if you take a look at these 2 points right here, slope, we can see we go down 2, we go over 2. So our slope is negative 2 over 2, which is a negative 1. And the y-intercept crosses the y-axis at a negative 2. So your equation would be y equals negative 1x minus a 2. Okay, we're going to take a look at a couple of these, and then I'm going to cut it short. Okay, so we're going to look at number 13. So what two things we need? We need an m, we need a b. So the slope, if you remember, to find slope, change in y over change in x. So how much do the y's change? I go from a 2 to a 0. That means I went down 2. I went from a negative 1 to a 0. That means I went up 1. So my slope is a negative 2. Well, to find the b, I don't know what b is. So we use this formula, y equals mx plus b. You pick one of your points. For instance here, we know that the y value is a 2. So we got a 2. Equals the slope we just found was a negative 2. The x value from our point, is a negative 1. And we do not know the b, so it's just going to be plus b. So I'd have 2 equals positive 2 plus b. If we find out what b is by subtracting 2, you get a 0 equals b. So our y-intercept is 0, which means your equation would be y equals negative 2x. Okay, if we take a look at number 14. So we need slope, we need a y-intercept. Slope, we go from a 9 to a 6. That means we went down 3. We went from a -2 to a +1. That means we went up 3. So our slope here is a -1. Again, to find that b value, we're going to have y equals mx plus b. So the mx plus b. I know that the x, or excuse me, the m we just found was a -1. We don't know what the b is. I know that the x value, right from this point right here, is -2. I know that the y value is a 9. So if I work through the algebra here, I'd get 9 equals a +2 plus b minus the 2 off, and you get b is equal to a 7. So our equation would be y equals -1x plus 7. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, that would be one thing you should be asking questions on tomorrow. And that is a wrap.